All right, let's now welcome Professor Sampson Mamphweli, Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute. Professor, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure. So please explain to us then what could have caused these massive blackouts. The update from the city says that they found that transformers 1A and 1B had tripped the Njala in-feed substation. What would cause such a fault though? Is it purely maintenance or infrastructural issues? Because as you hear, Eskom is saying the fault is purely on the city of Tshwane.
Yeah, good afternoon to you and the viewers. So there are various factors that cause this kind of trips, especially that are associated with transformer failures. There are electrical factors such as your overloading of the transformers or the substations themselves. You recall that the country has dealt with load shedding. Now we're dealing with load reduction. And part of the reasons why we have load reduction is because of system overload, which is basically overload on transformers. There are electrical surges, which could mean that there could have been a high voltage higher than the transformer design that was coming in, and then it causes a trip or a fault on the transformer itself. There are environmental factors, water going into the transformers, the oil contamination and things like that. But there are also operational and design matters. Most of the transformers have aged. They were there for quite a long time. And with that, without proper maintenance, they tend to fail when they reach what we call their end of life. Some parts of the transformers start to fail, and then it causes trips. So there could be a whole range of things that could have caused the trips on the transformers at the substation.
But there has been quite a number of these blackouts before this one in the first week of January as well, Professor, sporadic and spread right across some parts of the country. And they're becoming more persistent now and last even longer before restoration. Should we be at this stage concerned about energy supply as well as stability, or it's still too early?
The distribution system in the main, at municipality level, we have not been taking due consideration of it when it comes to maintenance. And now what is happening is that at the end of load shedding, more people connected more into the grid. Some people connected illegally. Some people just basically started using the appliances that they were not using in the past. And that leads to system overload in the main. The Minister of Energy and Electricity has also alluded to this particular aspect. So we will see a lot more of failures on the distribution side of things, and municipalities need to start looking at regular maintenance or reliability maintenance, looking at things such as the transformers that were there in the past. Some of the transformers were put there before some of the areas were electrified. And when they did the electrification and then started with the expansion program in terms of electrification, they never looked back at the transformers themselves to say, and the substations to say, will they be able to take the load that we are now adding onto them? And that leads to trips and failures. So it's the results of our success in terms of dealing with load shedding that I think is partly leading to the other challenges that we need to deal with now.
A new problem, but it certainly could have been avoided is what I'm getting from you, Prof. So generally, I know you just touched on it a little bit, Prof. Give us a brief overview of what exactly our current grid supply instability looks like since the issue of load shedding was addressed, because unfortunately some townships and villages still experience what is now referred to as load reduction, as you rightly pointed out earlier. Team South Africa recently went to Davos to highlight the fact that we now do have a stable supply of energy, which you and I both know it heavily impacts our overall business production as well as performance.
That is correct. So we have a very stable supply. When you look at the supply versus demand, which is what we look at on a weekly basis. We analyze data on a weekly basis at Sanedi and also working with our Eskom colleagues. I can confirm that the grid is quite stable in terms of the supply and demand. The challenge, as you alluded to just now, is the issue of the system overload. That brings in issues of load reduction. And if you look at how load reduction happens, in most cases, it's not like power outage for days. It's they cut the power between early hours of the morning when the system is overloaded, and also late evening when people are coming back from work and they start to use more electricity. The Minister of Electricity and Energy has been seized with this particular issue. Part of what he has been doing is to roll out smart meters. So if you have a smart meters in a particular area, and then Eskom can detect that there's going to be an overload in this particular area, they can remotely access the smart meters, lower your electricity supply from a 63 amp to a 20 amp. You will still have electricity, but you can't plug so many things at once. So you still have your lights, your TV, basics. So that is one of the things that the minister has been rolling out, amongst other things that is busy dealing with, using to deal with load reduction.
I mean, Professor, the issue of illegal connections, I mean, just how much do they overburden, of course, the supply as well as stability aspect of our energy? And how does then Eskom, as well as those various municipalities, effectively address this issue, you think?
Yeah, the issue of illegal connection is quite big, and it's not only in informal settlements. It's in informal settlements, it's informal settlements themselves. You have people bridging the meters. It was reduced when we moved from when we updated the meters. You recall that at some point there was an update of meters to reset them so that they can be able to take the numbers going forward. Most of the people who had breached were caught in that particular system, and they had to connect properly. But illegal connections are putting a huge strain on our power system. If you look at the actual capacity that they're taking from the system, it's more than building a power station. So this is a big problem. Eskom is trying to deal with this using smart meters and also using people. People have to report this when they see them, because they don't affect people who are very far. They affect people who are in the vicinity, because the system gets overloaded and then Eskom has to switch them off. So it is the responsibility of communities to ensure that we don't have these illegal connections. Some of the people who are connecting illegally are the poor people who can afford electricity. But there are provisions like your free basic unit electricity that are provided by municipalities. We encourage people to approach their municipalities and indicate their social standing, and then municipalities will give them those free basic units. Minister of Electricity and is busy working on trying to increase those free basic units so that they can last people a bit longer. Is looking at various interventions around that as well.
And we've seen, of course, Tshwane Mayor there. Of course, Dr. Moyo has been quite on a campaign there, Professor, rooting out all those illegal connections, as well as some that are guilty of actually not settling their bills to the municipality. Prof, that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you so much. As always, great analysis there. Sampson Mamphweli is the Energy Secretariat at SANEDI, weighing in on the current blackouts affecting mostly Tshwane as well as some parts of Johannesburg.